So what happens in Aruba to understand the principle of how the wireless in Aruba connection works? When the user, so that's there we go, a wireless user connects, say, to an AP, for example, right? And then we have maybe an authentication server, ClearPass, say, policy manager. So what happens really? Before authentication, so if you say stage number 1, pre-authentication, the user has not yet authenticated. What happens? When the user connects, they will be assigned a firewall, also called firewall role, and that role basically consists of maybe multiple policies, depends on the type of connection. But in nutshell, we call this one pre-authentication role, or we call it initial role. So pre-authentication role. Now the user has authenticated, assume everything worked, and authentication has worked, everything is fine. Then the user will be assigned post-authentication role. Right. What is this? This is Aruba Firewall. And if you are managing, I'm going to focus on version 10, and the management of these devices is happening via Aruba Central. Because we have assigned a license for this, that can be foundation license, let us say, or probably advanced license. They will be assigned firewall, also called roles. Now these roles, there are some built-in roles already exist. Some of them will be created as you create the WLAN. So we're going to look into this. We're going to see how does that work. It's more kind of automated process, but for troubleshooting understanding, we need to understand, we go under the hood of these roles and how they are created, what kind of rules, policies inside them, and how they control the traffic. And obviously that is same applicable if you tunnel the traffic into a gateway. If that is a gateway, i.e. wireless gateway, then of course that will be kind of same principle. Now what we will look into the case whereby you create a WLAN, and we're going to take an example, and then we will see what happens in this case. Now that's Aruba Central. I already created a group and I added devices to the group already. So there's one AP here. Now the firmware is 10.7. So that's all good and nice. Now if we go to the config, I created a bunch of WLANs. Now the other thing I would like just to point out as well, I have also another group for gateway. So I'm going to show you tunnel WLAN, and that gateway, I have moved one gateway in the list view. There's one gateway that will be the tunnel terminator, the end of the tunnel. I'm going to show you in here also what is the firewall role in here. But let's first go back into the Aruba OS 10 and we look at what we have configured here. I would like to focus probably to start with probably in a guest WLAN. So I'm going to go for guest one. This is with an external capture portal hosted on ClearPass. So this is the guest one. And if you notice, if I edit this one, we give it a name, that's all, and any advanced settings. Again, we're not focusing in here. At the WLAN, we decided that this is going to be tunnel, i.e. the traffic that will leave the access point will be tunneled back to the gateway, which we already have defined what is the gateway cluster that gateway belong to. Again, and then they will egress the gateway from on VLAN 35. So I'd like to draw this one to show you how this works, basically in a sketch kind of way. So in this example, the traffic is going to come from the client. So that's the client. guest client will go wirelessly to the AP. Then that AP will tunnel the traffic to the gateway. So that's our gateway, and all of them are version 10. So this is version 10, and that's version 10. Now, what we have specified is the VLAN 33. So that gateway has VLAN 33 trunked here, or tagged. That will go to the client default gateway, and then it will go wherever it is. When the client connects to the SSID, so we call it guest 1 in this case, guest 1, what we will be interested in, again, this is tunnel, this is a GRE tunnel, and there will be another tunnel, this is for data tunnel, that's for data, another tunnel for control plane tunnel between the gateway and the access point, and that's IPsec tunnel for control plane, things like radio resources, channel utilization, and client match, air match, and so on and so forth. So this is schematically what will happen to the traffic, and most likely default gateway will be the one that will route that traffic. Let's have a look now what kind of roles that will be created. We will connect the user and see how that works basically. So when you create the WLAN that's guest in the security, you will have to select visitors. Now, you define in the captive portal, it can be internal or external, but we have decided this is external. Captive portal profile. Now, the captive portal profile, you give it a name, whatever name. Now, that name, captive portal profile, if you edit, this is the location, that's the name of the captive portal where it is located on ClearPass itself. And that is the fully qualified domain name in this case. So the captive portal sits on ClearPass. And obviously, if any advanced settings like MAC authentication and all that stuff, we will do it from here. Other than that, and in the access, that's the firewall. So what's going to happen now? We're going to see that a new captive portal profile has been created, and that will relate to how we allow the user to reach that captive portal. We will connect a client to that SSID, and we will expect the client to be redirected to the captive portal. And we will then inspect on the gateway what is the status of that client. So that's a client, and we're going to connect to guest 1, say. Now the redirection should happen to the captive portal location. Now that's a captive portal. Now the user has not yet authenticated. So we're going to examine how the user looks like inside the actual gateway. That's a gateway. If I issue the command show user, you're going to see the user has connected, but the role in here, look at this, captive portal profile. That role, if we look into the role, that will give certain permissions to that user to access the captive portal, but not go too many places, become an IP, DNS, default gateway, reachability, and that's it. So if you issue the command show rights, probably we look into this. That will tell us what this role means. Look into this. It has two policies, which is a firewall, remember? This is session ACL, global one, and these two are empty. The only one that has entries is number 3, which is the role that was created, and these are the rules inside that role that was generated automatically. You don't have to worry much about it. They have generated this one, and they created the alias that's called clearpass-.wislane.net. This alias indeed is to allow it to go to that specific location where the captive portal is located. Now, so to conclude, the user has not yet authenticated. It's connected to guest 1 WLAN. We would like to authenticate the user now, and you're going to notice that role will change to a post-authentication role. We're going to have a look at that. Just to let you know, we're going to use the guest with this username and that password. So we just created that user. We're going to authenticate right now and see what that means to us in terms of role. So that's a password. We're going to just paste it here. And we're going to go back and just get the username back again. Or the username is myguest at mycompany.com. This. Now the user is connected. You can clearly see that. And if we look into Aruba Central, we're gonna see, or at least the gateway now, you notice the role has changed to guest one. And if you issue the command show rights guest one, this is the post-authentication role that was generated to match the same name of the SSID or WLAN, and that obviously we're permitting. So basically you can clearly see no restrictions in here from any source to any destination, any service permit. Simply speaking, guest is allowed in this case. If you look into Aruba Central, you're going to notice that the users or the clients, that's the client. So that's my client. And notice the gateway role, guest one, and the AP role is guest one as well. So this guy is connected, and notice this is tunneling. So if you click on this, and you notice this is the tunnel between the AP and the gateway overlay tunnel. And you'll notice this the AP. We can consult to the AP if you would like to, and look into the users that are inside. So if we go tools, and we can consult to that AP. Notice that's a tunnel that is connecting the AP to the gateway. So here, now we connect to that AP, the only one available basically. So on the AP, we can say show client. That's a command equivalent to show user on the gateway. Notice the client has this captive portal. The other client, there's another one, has not yet authenticated. Notice that is the role here, simply speaking.